about it and what we're going to continue to do about it, because we hate AFKs and it's kind of an ongoing process.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Shark Coon and Laorx have joined the game.
Sweet.
It's time. Who should I play next?
So I just saw somebody request in the chat room that they wanted you to play Taka.
Taka? Oh, I'm not very good Taka, but let's do it anyway.
What could go wrong with this plan? It's going to be amazing.
Or you could just pretend we said something else.
I'll pretend I'm not a good Taka.
Yeah.
That way when I do well, it'll be a surprise, right?
That'll be awesome.
And while Neato keeps talking about AFKs, I am going to give out ice. So don't be distracted by that. We will repeat the winners. But yeah.
Okay, so AFKs, they're horrible. We know it. You guys know it. Everybody hates it. And we are constantly going to be doing everything within our power to minimize the effect that you guys feel on them. So right now, we have a system in place called Karma, and this rewards players for sticking around and finishing a fight, whether that ends in a surrender, a defeat, a victory, doesn't matter. We just want players to be committed and stick around and play the game. And if you can't, if you have to go AFK, then we want to put you with other people that are going to play that same way. So AFKers that are going to frequently go AFK often also don't tend to mind if they play with other people that go AFK. So we try to separate the two camps and ensure that if you're going to be sticking around and finishing your games, that you're going to have a very small chance of being matched with other people that are going to be going AFK. That said, we're also pretty conservative with the way that we change the matchmaker from update to update, mostly because we don't want to jerk you guys around a whole lot. And the reality is, in the past month or two, we haven't had a whole lot of time spent on looking into the matchmaker and figuring out what we can do more for AFKs. Like we definitely know we have some ideas, but we didn't have the time and the opportunity because we were doing our worldwide launch rollout. Now that the worldwide launch rollout of Vainglory has been completed, or is almost done, or is getting close to being completed, we're going to be able to turn our time and attention back to a lot of these quality of life issues, and that means that AFKers once again get the limelight, and we are going to be, little by little, especially at the start of Q1 of next year, we're going to be really ratcheting down on that kind of behavior to make sure that that doesn't happen. So first, you have my full apologies if you are a good citizen and you're getting matched with AFKers. I'm super, super sorry, and I definitely hear you. That is no fun. Stick with us. It will get better and get better very, very soon, and I promise it is a huge deal to us too. So the way that Karma works with the matchmaker right now, the matchmaker does take into account your karma score with matching you with other people, and it will get only better at doing that once we head into Q1 of this coming year, because we have some really great ideas that's going to help insulate you from players that are going to be abandoning matches. And as always, as we move forward, and it's a living product, we will be listening to you guys' feedback and let us know what you guys think, and that stuff would be great.
All right, so we did the winners. The winners were in there. So Dow Jr., Gansty Drugs, Shinkagen won, which is a little ridiculous. I'm going straight by the Twitch tool, so I did an extra one. So I did an extra winner. One of them flew by, so I hope someone has the list there, because I'm going to have to grab the two of them out of the chat window. Maybe DJ can grab them for me. But hopefully everyone saw the winners go by there, and we'll recap in case you missed it and post them in the forums. But yeah, so we did 4 winners this time, because Shinkagen, I don't know if that counts, so we did 4.
I think I might die to a minion.
So I just as doing this live, because I just saw the question roll by the chat room really quickly, and it was on the topic of AFKs. Somebody was asking, and I'm sorry I missed your name. Do people that crash, are they considered AFK? I know that we have had in the past a bug that players that wouldn't get connected to a game would be considered a player that had gone AFK and so forth. And I swear to you, we will squash all of those issues. That will not be allowed to survive. For players that do crash out of the game, you're not considered AFK unless you stay out of the game. If your game crashes for any reason, all we ask that you do is just tap the icon and pop the game back open. You will be put right back into the match, and you should be on your way. If you stay out of the game, however, you will eventually be seen as AFK. And so definitely don't do that if it all can be avoided. If for some reason you do crash and you cannot get back into the game, we do have AFK forgiveness, meaning that we allow for you to go AFK like once or so, and understand that sometimes these things happen without you getting punished by losing your karma. But repeat offenders will definitely get cracked down hard. So just try to avoid going AFK a lot, and then you should be fine.
And I just wanted to add to that, because I see a lot of misconceptions.
Run, George! You lived! I lived! Congratulations.
That was stressful.
I see at least some people in the forums or elsewhere talking about and thinking that your karma score is the metric by which the matchmaker pairs you with other players.
Yeah, that is not true.
Yeah.
It is one of the things the matchmaker will think of when it's matching you with other players, but primarily you're matched with other players that are at your skill level. It's the most primary metric that we use, and then secondarily the matchmaker is going to look at several other factors, one of them being your karma, to ensure that it's going to find you people at your skill level and at your karma level to put you in a match with. But it will be both things taken into consideration. It's not purely just your karma level.
So really, it's about your elo, it's about your skill level, and then the matchmaker is going to look for the best matches it can find, and if it insta matches, it's because it found people right away. But there's a secondary characteristic where it's like, all right, I got people at the right elo, but let me check and make sure that I'm not taking good karma players and putting them with a bad karma player who AFKs, who might ruin this match.
Right.
So it's a secondary characteristic that's a safeguard that prevents you from ending up in matches with people who AFK if you are consistently finishing your matches. But the first and the primary characteristic is your skill level. It wants to have highly competitive matches that put people at similar skill levels together. So Sazuki from the forums wants to know, maybe the baby dragon belongs to a mommy dragon?
Maybe the baby dragon does. I can neither confirm nor deny that. How is that for a slippery answer?
Lumino Helix, what inspiration do you draw from when creating a hero? Not just character design, but also backstories. And what all goes into creating and balancing their attacks and just kind of the hero balancing in general?
Yeah, so there's, you can kind of think of it being a 5-headed Hydra. The elements that, and a lot of heads.
That's not a lot of heads. Hydras have like a million heads.
That's true. Hydras do have many more. They can have much more than that. In terms of the things that I'm thinking about when creating a hero. So one of the first things is light versus dark, which is a big thing. We want to make sure Vainglory is a lot of things, and if you notice the heroes that we have in Vainglory, a lot of them are very serious and very naturally heroic. Mm-hmm. But we also have heroes that are cute or fun or lighthearted, and keeping that balance between more light heroes, what I call whimsy heroes, and dark heroes or try-hard heroes is definitely something that I'm constantly thinking through. If you tilt too much towards a dark, try-hard set of heroes, then it stops appealing to a large portion of the player base, because your game starts feeling very dark. If every hero we had was, I love him to death, but if every hero was like Krull, our game would be a very, very dark game indeed. And we want this game to have a little bit in there for everyone, while at the same time feeling like all the heroes belong in the same world. So that's one thing. The next thing is roles, which is an obvious influence on heroes. We want to make sure that all of the roles are somewhat balanced and always represented. Different players like to play different roles. We like to keep things interesting. So roles is super important. A third thing that is a influence is tropes, and trope is just like a fancy buzzword for things that people immediately recognize. And there's a lot of lore out there already that people understand dwarves and elves and a knight and a dragon and a princess, and a lot of things that are immediately recognizable to people and are often sometimes really, really fun for people to see recreated and reimagined in the world of Vainglory. So sometimes when we're talking about things like, for example, when you look at Taka, Taka is a ninja. And we talked with you guys in the forums, and you guys were like, it would be awesome if there was a ninja. And we were like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. But we also want to make sure that if we consider a trope like a ninja, we want to make sure that the trope feels Vainglory-ish. It feels unique, that it's what a ninja would look.
Did you say Vainglory-ish instead of Vainglorious?
I said Vainglory-ish, yes. I should have said Vainglorious. Vainglory both would work. Yeah, Vainglory-esque. All of those would work. And so, yeah, we really love it when we tackle a trope, reimagining it and making it ours, making it our own. Another thing that goes into where heroes come from is different play levels, or I'm sorry, skill levels. Some heroes are deliberately designed to be approachable. For example, Ringo is a hero that's very easy for other players, new players, to pick up and play. A person that's never played a MOBA before can easily understand Ringo's kit. They can understand how all of his abilities operate, whereas other heroes are a lot more complicated for some people to play. Like Adagio has a lot more nuance to him. They have to tap several times, or you have to tap the button and then tap somewhere in the ring and then target a friend to make an enemy on fire. There's a lot that goes into it. So I want to make sure that there are definitely heroes out there that are easy to pick up and play, as well as having the other end of the spectrum, the heroes that are deep, the crawls out there that are deeply grafted, that have very interesting kit mechanics that balance against each other. I think that's 4 heads, or is that 5? I feel like that's 5 heads.
If it's not, that's enough heads.
Okay, I think that's the 5 heads of the Hydra, and if I missed a head, I'm sorry.
That's good. All right, a little rapid fire from the real-time Twitch.
Real-time Twitch,
so,
hit me.
Nosy Sparks, are there any new mages coming? Warlocks.
Are there any new mages coming? Yes. Warlocks,
damn, that
kind of,
right.
yeah.
I was not, I said rapid fire, and then I was not prepared for rapid fire. So
yes.
Is Vainglory fantasy or sci-fi? Some heroes seem one or the other, such as Jewel against Adagio.
Vainglory is neither, while simultaneously being both, which sounds a little bit weird and zen, but at the end of the day, Vainglory, if you were to try to pin down what genre it would fit into, it would either fit into diesel punk or sci-fantasy, which are two hybrid kinds of genres that have elements of both. So if you're familiar with things like cyberpunk can also have some fantasy elements thrown in, and you get things like Shadowrun or where you see, like, elves with a computer hacking things. You have traditional steampunk, which is more like Victorian era with fantasy mixed in, and you have a lot of advanced technologies but re-implemented in a Victorian era kind of way. Diesel punk is more like World War II meets fantasy, which is kind of close to the level of technology that exists in Vainglory, though we have future tech that's implemented sometimes in more fantastical ways. So we're probably somewhere between sci-fantasy and diesel punk, if you were to try to pin us down.
Yeah. So I'm going to combine questions from Kanye West official, who I do not think is Kanye West, for the record.
Yeah, I'm going to just believe it is.
And if it is,
I think it is.
I apologize to Kanye West if it is Kanye West, but I'm going to assume that it's not Kanye West.
Yep.
And Nocturnal. So Kanye West wants to know, how about putting some of his songs in the game? But I think the more appropriate or the more applicable version of that is something that a bunch of players have brought up, which is like, I want to listen to my own music, Kanye West or otherwise, all from Pandora or Spotify or Slacker or whatever, and play Vainglory using my headphones. Are we ever going to be able to listen to our own music?
I think it's a great idea. We have had some conversations, some fireside chats with some players that have mentioned it, and we thought it was a great idea, and so that is totally on our grocery list of awesome ideas that we want to do. It is purely a matter of time.
Metaphora, could you add a report button for AFKers at the end of the game?
Yes.
Dart Sick Dragon, do private games give you ranking? So basically, we've had Glory as well as ELO, things that you could game if you were, if it existed in private matches.
No, they do not. So if you play a private match with your friends, it's purely a pickup game. It's just for fun, and you guys can do whatever you like. But it will not grant you any glory or any other kind of conferred bonuses. And a large part of that is because games that, if we were to allow that to happen, then some people would just game the system and they would just start matches and leave themselves there, or have their friends just surrender over and over and over again just to grind for getting rewards. And it wouldn't feel fair to any of the other players.
Yeah, so private matches are really for bragging rights.
Yeah.
And then they're also for like,
and they're for fun.
If you want to set up your own, tournaments or other special things, you know, you can always reach out to us. If you somehow manage to put together like this huge epic tournament, we can probably jump in there and support you with, giving you some ice to give away in the tournament or something.
Yeah, we love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Shinkagen, I think, is doing a 1v1 tournament. When is that, tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so tomorrow on Shinkagen's stream, he's going to do some crazy 1v1 tournament, and then Pika has also called me out, like the ice bucket challenge. Like, he's called me out to play 1v1 against him, so we'll try to figure that out too. But yeah, so the private match stuff is really for bragging rights, but if you try to put together something epic using that feature, let us know and we'll try to support you. We have one from Johnny Jer, and I'm going to paraphrase this so that I can include some other people's questions. But are we ever going to have a different ELO system or ranking system, so that we kind of have like competitive ladders and different things that you can rank up on, or different ways to play?
Vainglory competitive is an entire conversation that I could burn everybody's time just yammering about for like the next 30 minutes and not even finish getting close to all the different ideas that we have. And the shorter answer is we have really good plans that are coming up. And we have really big conversations that are coming up around how we want to organize it, but some of those things are not yet firmly put into place. And so even if I told you the answer right now, it would still be subject to change. But ultimately, what you're thinking is very much in line with what we're thinking internally here at the Lair. We love competitive play. We know that it's frequent for these kinds of games to have ranked play, and we've talked a lot about what ranked play might look like in Vainglory. And we have a couple of really cool things that we want to bring you guys soon. But whether or not it is specifically like a different ELO or exactly how those rankings would work is still yet unannounced.
It's going to have on it. Right now, I think most players know we don't show exact ELO or player skill scores, but you can get an idea by looking on your profile page. You'll see like decent-ish or the hotness, and that tells you your ELO bracket, right? And that's kind of the very, very, very earliest stages, and that is going to be expanded, and there are going to be a lot of things going on so that you feel like as you're playing a lot that it's really meaningful over the long haul. So kind of what we tend to say is like, we know there's a lot more we can still do, and we're going to keep working as hard and as fast as we can on that. But it's going to happen step by step, kind of inch by inch, from update to update. And each update, it's going to get a little better, and sometimes in big leaps and sometimes in little baby steps. But if you stick with us, you're going to see these kinds of things.
Yes.
So Black Void wants to know about bots. We see a glaive bot is in the kind of early kind of practice thing, but then we haven't seen anything else about bots.
Yeah. We've definitely heard a lot of players have strong interest in bots, and we do too. We think bots can be a lot of fun. And we wanted to make sure that we do bots correctly. You've seen that we actually have some tech for bots in the works. As if you ever played the tutorial and you've seen the glaive bot running around, he is powered by some of our bot technology. And we have talks about specifically how we would like to roll out bot play. But a lot of this stuff is still sort of in its formative stages, and we aren't quite ready yet to bring you bots the way that they were meant to be. So until we feel like the bots are kind of like up to the play experience that we would want to provide you guys, we're still holding on to them for a little while longer.
All right, that's bots. So Naughty Geezer, that's a weird name. And then there's a bunch of other players who have said, like, is there going to be a special holiday update or like snowfall on the Halcyon folder or anything else like that?
We did have really good plans for stuff like that, where we were going to do a big holiday update. Ultimately, we felt it was best not to do a dramatic revisualization for the holiday update this year, purely because we had gotten such love from Apple, and we wanted to make sure that people recognize the game from the Apple commercial. We mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were talking about why the Taka splash art has stayed where it is. And that is the only reason why some of those things that we know would have been fun for you guys and would have been awesome for us to bring you guys, why those things didn't actually happen for this Christmas. That said, we may have a Christmas update coming out, to which I'm hoping you guys will be very excited with
Hanukkah
with it, or Hanukkah, or however Kwanzaa. Things roll. Kwanzaa, it's totally Kwanzaa. But I will just make sure you guys have your expectations set ahead of time. We're not going to be able to do a dramatic revisualization purely because we want to support the Apple commercial.
Well, so really the reality is like we're excited that we just announced the game coming in a fully translated, localized way to Korea and Japan, and so we're still kind of at a stage where a lot of new players are finding the game, and if they kind of walk in on day one and there's a whole bunch of stuff different, it's going to be really hard for those players to orient themselves to the natural experience. So kind of the best thing that I can say is that if you stick around for the long haul, you're going to get all of that kind of stuff that's going to be really fun. But we have to keep a little bit of one eye right now on the fact that the game is still brand new and we're still welcoming first-time players into the experience. And that we have to look out for them at the same time, but that once we kind of clear this phase where the game is out and it's fully established, then we'll definitely be excited to play around with that kind of stuff. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
So Pyro Guy and a bunch of other people have brought up like pings and like on the iPhone you ping when you leave the shop, and just kind of like a little bit of additional optimization that could happen there.
Yeah, and we know about those issues, and I'm so sorry for them. I know it's annoying because you're in the shop and you're just buying yourself a Halcyon potion, you tap outside of the shop, and next thing you know you're pinging, and your friends are like, "That's silly. Why would we want to go off of the map over the cliff?" And you're just like, "I didn't mean to ping there, man." And that's just purely a bug, and we plan to have that fixed for you guys pretty soon. The other thing is talking about pings in general, and how the ping systems work. Right now, we've been pretty happy with how pings in the game have been working out for people. They seem to be pretty useful. We also have some great ideas as we start talking a lot more with you guys in the community about how social will evolve and grow in Vainglory in the next coming months. It's likely that those areas are also going to see a lot more love and could turn out to be dramatically different.
And so a few people have also brought up, like, will they ever be able to move around the UI elements, like customize them, like if they want the ability tray on the left side of the screen or something like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. It's likely not something that's going to happen in the very near term, but it's a great idea. And if given the opportunity, I would be perfectly fine with giving them the chance to do so.
So Z-Kent is 11-0 in Forest Taka after giving us the preamble.
I was just noticing that.
Not being good with Taka. Z-Kent, can you talk to us for a couple minutes, just like what you're thinking, like what you're trying to do in this game, how you're trying to build them, like why you went Tension Bow and 2 Tyrant's Monocles,
so,
it looks like?
This game I wanted to go for a lot of crit because Taka's perk gives him advantages when he crits someone. I want to run fast the whole time. And I have no idea how to build him, so I kind of followed my Ringo build, which is Tension Bow and 2 Tyrant's Monocles. So I'm like, sure, why not? And I seem to have made a mistake because my entire team is going red and their entire team is going blue. But that's okay. Red versus blue.
Yes.
So why that's a mistake, for anyone who doesn't immediately recognize that, if your whole team builds red, builds weapon, or your whole team builds blue, builds crystal, it makes it really easy for the other team to counter build, to build shielding yellow if they see blue, and build armor, which is kind of brownish gold, if they see red. Ideally, you always want to have a variety on your team so that the enemy team has to make choices. Has to be like, all right, well, we kind of want shield because there's that burst dude, the burst Kashka in there, but then like we're going to get destroyed by the weapon pedal, right? Like that's the kind of thinking you want your enemy doing, and not making it too easy for them to counter build. Yeah. So
yeah, and in specific to the people that are currently playing against him, if you want to kill him, or at least he finally died, so if you want to kill him more, then yeah, you likely want to, at this point, be investing a little bit more into defensive items, especially Taka. Taka is really awesome at initiating and having really good burst for the first 3 or 4 seconds that he's fighting you. But that tends to fall off fairly dramatically, and it falls off more because he's so fragile. So if you can possibly get enough defense to sort of outlive Taka's initial burst by getting a metal jacket and a crucible or some combination thereof, Taka becomes very easy to handle. I don't know if I would ever say Taka is ever easy to handle, but he becomes significantly more manageable, and you won't find yourself getting blown up by him just by surprise.
And I kind of feel like you're channeling your inner surprise birthday with that, because like something that I've heard him say a number of times is like, people will get hit with that tension bow, that first shot, and they will run because they just took a bunch of damage. When in a lot of situations, the best thing you can do is go
stand and fight against the person that just hit you with a tension bow. It depends on what they've built, because if they have, a couple Sara blades under their belt to follow up behind that tension bow, it's not going to matter if you stand and fight. But just keep in mind, part of what makes tension bow so effective is that it's psychological. When you get hit with it, it's an unexpected, overwhelming amount of damage, and it causes your enemies, if you have tension bow, to question whether they really want to stick around. And that might turn a fight that they could have won into one in which they run. And you may even be able to kill them as they do so. You have to play the psychological game if you're playing against somebody that has a tension bow, and just understand that the damage that they're going to do is only going to happen once every 6 seconds.
It's going to happen up front, and then you can get your shots in if you stick around.
Yes.
So for those who have kind of joined us late, we talked about Scarf in the beginning. I'm going to ask another kind of related Scarf question, so you have a chance to revisit it, but answer this specifically. So Ordiforo from the forums wants to know if if we're thinking about any changes to the max health damage that's related to the heroic perk, and kind of how that works. Is it true damage? Is it crystal damage? Yeah,
so for people that don't know, Scarf's abilities set you on fire. And this burn deals 3% of your max health back to the target as crystal damage. Scarf's burn is part of what makes him so awesome, because it is super effective against even tanks, because they're often high health targets, which means that they're going to take more damage. And it's super effective because you can fan the flames and make it even worse for people. Every time you hit somebody with a basic attack that is suffering from burn, you refresh the duration of burn, number one, and number two, you also make the burn like 3% hotter every time you basic attack, and that can stack up to 3 times. So the first time that you burn them, it's doing 3% per second. Then if you basic attack them, it turns to 6% per second. And if you basic attack them again, it turns to 9% per second, which can really, really hurt. So in terms of what kind of damage it is, specifically, it is crystal damage. If you are going up against a Scarf, it is super effective to get shielding, especially if he's using Fan the Flames and his perk to really gouge you with the burn. And if you are playing as a Scarf, it can sometimes be very effective to buy Broken Myth. Actually, I've been playing a lot of Scarf on live, and Scarf can be built a variety of ways, but I almost always find that a little bit of attack speed, purely to help out with Fan the Flames, can be a lot of fun. I've actually started a couple times, if I'm feeling roguish, I will buy the first attack speed item as my starting item and invade their jungle, because if you can just that quickly get the burn up to 9% with your basic attacks, you can very easily get early game kills with Scarf. He can get them faster than I think any other hero, including Taka. I would definitely say, though, that it does not become as effective late game. So don't rely on late game damage coming from Fan the Flames. Like, it's going to be in there, but by that point, people will have plenty of defense against it, and they're going to be less, I guess, melty to your burn. So towards late game, I actually pivot the way that I play Scarf. And while I start off with a little bit of attack speed and really complementing Fan the Flames at the start of the game, by late game I'm doing a lot of my effectiveness from either utility with Scarf or raw crystal damage by getting things like Shatter Glass, Broken Myth. Aftershock can sometimes be